All right, welcome back to another episode of the Denway Podcast. It's going to be a special show today. I am recording my 100th episode of doing this podcast, being the host of Denway. Before I start, I got to give a shout out to my boy Chris Cope. He started this show with me back in the day. He's no longer doing it with me, but I kept it going. But without him, the show wouldn't have been. So I got to give him a shout out and give his flowers for that. So, but today, like I said, it's going to be a special day. I usually don't drink on the podcast, but I got a little something in my cup right now, and because I'm a little nervous, I got my girl Paula on here going to ask me some questions today. So I don't really know what to say, but Paula, can you hear me?
I can. I'm here.
What's going on, girl? How you doing?
I am so fucking excited. I've been
Hey.
waiting for this since the day you sent me a message asking me if I could do this. Because, the thing is, sometimes people just talk shit, right? And then
Yeah.
it never comes back. Like,
Mhm.
maybe you would have gone a different way or didn't even want to celebrate 100. So for you to remember and reach out to me and be like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, fuck yeah, because it's a milestone. For a podcaster to reach 100 episodes, like, y'all don't understand how much goes into podcasting. Like, yes, it's fun, the talking part, but the back end shit, like, doing all that, it's a lot. So 100 episodes, congratulations, man. I am so honored to be the one to get to interview you on your own space for your 100 episodes. How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling real good right now, man. Like I'm happy, and I'm glad you're here to celebrate with me. And I mean, like that time you was on my podcast and you said it, I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, so I always in my back of my head, I was like, when we get to close, hit up Paula, because like I really wanted you to be on the show, and just to that podcast, like going last year, I didn't get to go this year, but that meant a lot to me, and you meant a lot to me because I was sitting in the hallway and I was just in my own little world, and you stopped me, was like, smile, smile, like that meant a lot to me. I think about that time because, like, in that moment, like, I actually knew who you were, but you didn't know who I was. Like, my boy Jimmy was like, "Yeah, Paula, she's somebody, like, she's very popular here." So it's like for you to just stop and talk to me and give me a little bit of time. I was like, that meant a lot to me. So,
And I love it. Just for people to know, like, it wasn't like he wasn't smiling or anything. Sometimes you just gaze out of space and you kind of forget where you are when you're in your own thoughts, right? So at Podfest, whenever I see people standing by themselves or anything, I just like to bring them back to the world. Like, yo, you're here, like, because sometimes just making somebody and people be like, oh my God, she said something to me, and then you get back to like, oh, I'm here, and so I'm glad you took that and you stayed with that, and it made us be even better friends. Like,
yeah.
sometimes a little thing like that, and then from there on, every time I would see you in the hallways or in the rooms, I'll make sure, even if it's just to wave or like give you a fist bump. So that was incredible. And because you didn't come to this podcast, last year I was the unofficial mayor. This year I became the unofficial governor. So we're stepping up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's always nice. I feel like, you never know how the little thing ends up affecting somebody. Just telling somebody to smile or just smiling at somebody or waving at somebody. You never know how that, and at that moment that they needed that, So look at us now.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, it was still a little. Being there was like I only knew one person, so it was very overwhelming for me in that moment. And like I'm like, man, I need to like chill, take a breather, and get right. I'm good with talking to people sometimes, but like I'm a little overwhelmed. Let me take a little breath and chill out for a minute. So
And people don't know. Podcast is a lot because it's a lot of people everywhere. Like, however much you're a people person, it gets overwhelming. Even me, sometimes I'm like, I want to go hide, but I was literally telling Chris this time and people at podcast, I was like, I kind of miss the days when nobody knew me. Because literally these days, just walking from one room to another way, it should take you like less than 5 minutes takes me almost 20 because everybody wants to say hi, hug, or take a picture, and you're like, you even forget where you're supposed to go or what you were supposed to do. So I try as much as to go hide, but people find me. People, because there are people every fucking where.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting alone, because at Podfest we have this thing where nobody sits alone, like nobody eats alone. Like even if you yourself just wants to take a break and just people just come say, how you doing? And sit with you like, man, like fuck out of here. I just needed 5 minutes of not talking.
And I'm pretty good with that. I think last time I found a time where nobody talked to me, I had probably like 30 minutes before anybody sat at the table where I was. I sat outside. It was hot outside. And I love the heat, but I was like, oh, I'm about to die out here. But I was like, I need some time. I need some space. So I got about 25 to 30 minutes. Nobody like said that to me, asked me about my podcast, anything like that. And that was great.
And the last, I think the resort we were last year had kind of so much space where you can go hide compared to this one where it is just one place. So you literally, everybody like the chilling places, they're all like in one kind of long area. So there was no escape. People. But it's funny because in our normal days, we keep wanting people to ask us about our podcast and we want to talk about them. Then you go to a conference and I'm like, can somebody not ask me about my podcast? I'm tired of telling people my podcast is about this.
Yeah.
Because it
for
feels
sure.
like you're constantly repeating the same thing. Because the first thing everybody asks, so you have a podcast? Tell me about it. And you're like, oh my God, here we go again.
Like, I'm at Podfest. Of course I get a podcast. Of course I get a podcast.
It's funny how there are quite a few people who come to Podfest and also don't have a podcast. Either they're serial guests, they just come to, they've been guesting on different podcasts.
Oh.
Or producers, editors. They're like, no, I don't make a podcast, but I love podcasters. So
I got you. I mean, that makes sense.
And there's some who come there and they're like, no, I want to start a podcast, but I haven't yet. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And another, knowing you, and I'm about to turn this over to you, but I've loved like one time I reached out to you about Podmatch, and I love that I love that site because I don't run out of hosts. I mean guests to bring on my show.
And what I love about Podmatch is the person who does it as well. It's nothing about the money. Like he makes it very affordable in very different terms because he gives back to the community. He's such a humble person. It's so easy to reach out to him and share whatever you're feeling. So I will always be pro Podmatch. But at one point, like, I love everything he does, and now he created a network, and now, like, he keeps on always doing things that can help independent podcasters without suffocating their pockets.
Yeah, for sure.
Because some people do things for independent podcasters, but then they forget we are independent, right? And then when you look at the pricing, you're like, are you sure this is for us?
Yeah. So yeah, and I think I made a little bit of money last year. I think I made $48 last year, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even know I was gonna make money from it. Like,
that's the thing. You might spend, and you might not get as much as you spend, but you get something back.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, that's what's up. I like that. I was like, I'm always gonna support this, and I've been on a break, so I haven't been doing too many interviews, but once I get back to it, I'm trying to get on that.
Did you try his review one? Because he also has the review thingy where people in you review each other's show.
Yeah.
But you have to listen. And that's the thing. He won't let you review until you listen because we are tired of fake reviews or people just leaving a review. So it does people get to listen to your show. And that way also new people find new shows. Because if I'm listening, if I like, I'm going to go check out other episodes,
yeah, for
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And it's also a way of getting reviews because you motherfuckers hate giving us reviews. Like, listeners, please leave reviews. Come on.
It don't take but a minute to do it, yeah.
I see, because y'all will go leave reviews for restaurants on Yelp and shit. But like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna ask to the then wait listeners, We are celebrating 100 episodes. For look, the best thing you can do is go fucking review, put a review for his show. Go comment, because Spotify now has comments and shit. Go do something. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I'll make it worth your while.
You'll be commenting on a whole Kendrick shit, but you can't see that's your boy and come on now.
Right,
We're trying to eat.
Trying to eat. Yeah. I got bills. I got to pay the bills.
Bruh.
But
so now, before we run, yes, go ahead, say something.
Oh, I was gonna say I think I'm done. Like my little small talk with you. I'm going to turn it over. So you officially have the floor. You in charge of the rest of the show. So
Because I was ready to take over. So I like how it's synced. So they say the average podcaster, like, they don't get past 3 episodes, and then if you get by 5, 10, you're already there. So for you to have 100 episodes, and that's why when you were kind of minimizing the win, I was like, no, motherfucker, this is 100 episodes. I am excited for you. So looking back at your very first episode, and I know you said when you started you had a course, right? But before I ask this question, out of curiosity, how many episodes did you do with your course before you took over going solo?
I think I don't know the exact number, but I would say it's between, I want to say 30 to 35.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. It's around there. It may be 40. Because we went hard, like kind of what I do now, where we hit up people and we may do 3 or 4 episodes a week and just have backlog. So every Monday we was releasing. I mean, he was there for pretty
significant amount.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say for the last 60 episodes, because the first, let's say 40, you had a course, right?
Yeah.
How have you evolved as a host, as a solo host? And I know it's different going from having a course because you bounce off things to being solo. So how have you evolved, and what key lessons have you learned over the 100 episodes as a host?
I think how I evolved in it is, well, it's good and bad. It's always a good thing. You have to learn when you had a co-host and now that you don't have one. So you have to learn how to have a conversation, because it's just not, I don't like interviews. I always say it's not a job interview. Like, I want to have a conversation with you. So with that is that I don't have to share asking questions. Like, you talk, I can talk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to do this, or, you may have had a question and they ask a question that circles all the way back. So you can't ask your next question because it doesn't flow with how the conversation's going. Evolving is just talking. I don't do a lot of talking in my regular life. I am the quiet person. Now, if you got me on some drink, I'm gonna have fun. But in my regular day, like, I sit there and I have my AirPods in and I'm zoned out and vibing out by myself. So, like, talking and just enjoying the moment with somebody I probably had never met before, talking about their expertise. So, I don't know if that answered the question, but I think that's my answer.
You did. No, I love that. And so I'm curious, after hearing your response with the course, would you ever go back to having a course, or are you loving the riding solo more?
When you say cause, like why I do it, the disability thing? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, will you ever go back to having a course, or are you enjoying the riding solo?
Oh, co-host. My bad. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I am deaf. I'm really deaf in real life too. So, if I was to get a call, so I don't know on this. I think that I'm fine on here, but if I was to go and do another podcast, like I have been approached about doing a podcast with a couple other people, No, I would do a co-host with that, but like this is my brand, so like I'm kind of selfish, so I don't want to. My ideas are my ideas. Like you can give me advice about things, but at the end of the day, like I can say yes and I can say no. But I don't. When I want to do something, I can just do it because I don't have to worry about anybody else. Like I don't have to go and be like, yo, I'm thinking about doing this. How you feel about this? I don't know. Let's think about it. I'm like, nah, man, I just want to do it. Like, so I probably never go back to a co-host because I have the freedom to do what I want to do.
I love that. Me too. Most of that, sometimes I've debated like maybe having a course will help with the market, like, certain things I don't have to worry about. But then I'm also like, I'm so used to, I know how to work by myself, even if I'm doing a
Mm-hmm.
last minute job, if I have to record a last minute episode, like I can work with that. I can be
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not going to sleep tonight and make sure this shit is done. But when you have
Mm-hmm.
somebody else, you're either always waiting on them or they're waiting on you and
Yeah.
they have to approve or whatever. It's like, no, this is my baby. Like I built this,
Yeah.
but which I get for you as well. That's why like, Fridays, I decided to join the boys, two cigars and a blunt. So I'm like, okay, this way I have 5 other niggas on the show with, so
Yeah.
this will be that, and then talk shit with P will be mine,
Yeah. And
So
I want to catch that. I actually want to catch that. Not to cut you off, but I've been seeing that show and you do it. I want to actually catch that. I want to
you
actually
need
listen
to
to it.
come in as a girl because you're literally part of our brand. Two cigars and a blunt. Just
Yeah.
you are cigars.
Yeah. 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 For
Like
sure.
we need to have you, and it's so much fun because
Mm-hmm.
it's just like as we say, we're just talking shit about different things every day, depending on what
Mm-hmm.
that week was going on. So
For sure.
so a lot of people when they think about podcasters, right? They just assume either you're already making money and it's this beautiful world. And I keep telling people this is the fun part. Everything
Mm-hmm.
else is people don't understand the shit that goes on in the back end. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say are some of the unexpected challenges you faced in your in producing your podcast? Especially, I feel like it's different when you have a co-host because maybe you guys were like, you will do this, like you had help, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you went into just doing it solo, everything by yourself. So, what was those unexpected challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
I say the first time. So, uh, it was actually talking to people in like that whole. Because here's the thing, I'm more of a conversation. I would write down questions and things like that. But for the most part, like I'm a conversation. Like so, when you say something, I'm like, oh, I want to hear more about that. I want to know more about what you just said. So I'm gonna have follow up questions. But at the beginning, I'm better with that now. But at the beginning, it was hard for me because if I drew a blank, I had a co-host to pick up that uh, pick up that ball and dribble and shoot for me. Well, I was able to do that and I could shoot again, but that dynamic was gone, so I missed that. So, um, and then posting on social media. I'm not, I like social media and I'm there, but I hated posting on social media. Like finding things to do. I hated it. Like I didn't want to do it, and Chris did it. I wake up in the morning and I see people liking whatever he posted. Like either it's repurposing somebody else's stuff, or if we did something on TikTok or something like that, he would do it. And so I had to pick up the ball and pick up the slack with that. And so what I had to start doing is, once I edit I edit the podcast. So actually at StreamYard, I could just put the link into a thing called Opus, and it gives me clips. So I didn't have to make clips for myself because I hate listening to my voice. You know, and I just think that's a everybody thing. We don't really care to listen to our voice sometimes, but I had to find certain things to make my job easier. So if I had to pay for like certain services to make my job easier, then I would. Because all I want to really do is sit here and talk and do
So
that.
true. I tell people if you can afford outsourcing, outsource. It will make, and I think that's why most of us podcasters end up being drained and taking breaks is because you have to do all these things alone and you can't
Mm-hmm.
afford to outsource everything with the way life is going lately, especially when your
Yeah,
podcast is not bringing in anything yet, but it's still a passion project and you love it and you want to grow it. So
Yeah.
I always used to say, when I get a budget, I think the first thing I'll hire is a social media manager. Like, you go do that. Like you know, even editing, I hate editing because I hate listening to my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why sometimes I have backlog of episodes, but every time I think about editing, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, have you tried Headliner? Headliner has this new app called Eddie, where you put the video and it gives you like 10 clips, and it's also free. Like, I use the free version. I don't pay for the
Okay, cool.
Yep, so check
Yeah,
that out as well.
yeah, I do Opus and Opus clips, and
I
they give
used to
you
do Opus, but it just never got the clips that I wanted. Like, it was just annoying for me. Like, I was like, fuck this shit.
yeah. So I mean, you say headliner. I mean, actually, it just depends on what we do, because like um, I like the fact that one of the things I like about Opus is that they give you the descriptions, they give you the hashtags and things like that, and um,
Oh, yeah.
I think you have to mess around. But I never do Opus on my laptop to even like try to play around with the settings to get it funky enough to like get some cool clips that I don't think,
Mm.
like, I think they get the obvious clips, but they don't get
Mm-hmm.
like little funky clips, like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. And everything, I feel like everything, you find one you like and you just have to train it, work with it, and eventually
mhm.
it knows what you are. So sometimes it's just having patience with these apps, because AI, everybody is now building all these apps that can do stuff. But
Mhm.
again, AI, you need to train it what you want it to throw for you in order to get there. I used to hate AI, and now, like, I literally use ChatGPT for almost everything, and I've trained
Mhm.
it to write. I just write in Paula style, sarcastic, witty, and it just writes. I'm like, oh shit! I feel like now you're knowing me too much now. Like, this
Yeah,
might be a problem.
and I have that issue right now too, though, when I'm on ChatGPT, because uh, sometimes I don't feel like I'm being creative enough for my podcast, and that's where it comes in with having not necessarily a co-host, but maybe having a team behind the scenes. Because I've thought about trying to get somebody behind the scenes to help with the creativity. So I have to get on ChatGPT and see what I could do and how to do this, and so it helps me out a little bit. So I'm happy about that too, though. So
And you got us here. So anytime you feel stuck creativity, just hit me up. We'll brainstorm
mm,
shit. I like getting creative. I might get too creative for you, because my friends be like, now you're giving me all these ideas and I don't know what to do. I'm like, sorry, you wanted creativity. Like, I like brainstorming with people. So anytime you feel stuck, hit me up. I love that. And
yeah, for sure.
and I'm with you as well on the like. My show is also kind of like conversation. That's
Mm,
why I don't send people questions, because I write down questions just to make sure that I don't get lost. Because sometimes you
yeah,
you end up talking and you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to ask. There are certain things you need to ask, and then there's certain things where if it happens, it happens. It's not important, right? So I write to just make sure that the questions I need answered should answer, even if the conversation goes over there. But that's why I don't
mm,
like sending the questions to people, because I don't want you to prepare, because it's a conversation. I want you to be relaxed. I want to see you thinking of the answer. I want to see you,
yeah,
But when you give people, because some people want to come looking perfect or have this perfection, so they constantly rehearse the answer, and then when they come, they don't feel they're authentic, even though the answer is
yeah.
authentic.
And I try to get that, and even so, it's funny you say that. I hate sending people questions, and I won't send people questions. I'm like, I kind of don't want you on my podcast now, because I don't like this is not a job interview. Like, I don't really want you to prepare for what I'm going to ask you. Like, you should have, like, I could have asked you, I'm like, hey, Paula, can you send me some questions you want to ask me for this? I'm like, nah. Like, when I talked to Jimmy on the phone, I'm like, hey, I got Paula coming on here. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm kind of nervous of what she's gonna ask me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm gonna ride with it. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna laugh and joke. And you know what I'm saying? Like, Because if I look at the questions you're gonna ask me, and when you ask me and they're outrageous, I'm not gonna laugh because I already knew you're gonna ask me that. So like, I want to get that
Exactly.
experience where like you ask me this most outrageous question, and I'm just down laughing because of like, yes, thank you, like, you know what I'm saying. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
you're robbing your audience. You are really robbing the audience of an authentic conversation.
You really are. And because I know if somebody ever sends me questions and I tell them, please don't, even if, because some podcasters do send questions out. I'm like, if you do that, please don't. Or if they send me, I try not to even read because I know once I start reading, I will, because that's how the mind works. It will start automatically answering the question because now
Yeah,
you feel like, and then I'm like, no, I don't want. Literally, I think today, this week was the first time I sent somebody questions that I was supposed to interview them, and
mm,
only because we are participating on the charity podcast on the charity thing that's going on from March
mm,
15th to March 25th, and because she's my friend, but she also started a charity non-organization NGO in Tanzania. So I wanted her to make sure that she has the right, she comes prepared because she has never done podcasting. If it was just a
mm,
normal thing, but this is for you're putting your charity out to the world. I want to make sure
yeah,
you come prepared with the vision, the mission. Like,
yeah,
listen, we're still gonna have fun, but I want you to know this is what I want us to concentrate on. But it
yeah,
wasn't like, oh, I'm giving you the specific questions or anything. I was like, we're going to talk about your mission, your vision. So I want you to come prepared to share that because it's part of this NGO, and I want to raise awareness to Tanzania, right? And to
yeah, yeah.
but
So
otherwise, and I didn't like send like specific question like exactly. No, I was just like this and this and this and this is what
yeah,
we yeah.
because at the end of the day, like there are exceptions to the rule. There are exceptions to the rule, and I can get down with that. Like, look, it's for a specific cause. Like, I understand. Like, we kind of have to have it, be prepared, and we gotta,
Yeah,
focus on.
it
Yeah,
wasn't a normal talk shit with P
yeah,
episode because talk
yeah,
shit with P we don't care. We just gonna
yeah.
talk some shit and roll with it.
And that's why, like, so even on like Podmatch, when I look at Podmatch, because I'm starting to have to look at questions because I'm starting to have to like turn down people or like not accept the match because if it's not something I don't want you on there just because you want to be on the show. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to have it be a match. I have to want to talk to you about whatever I'm gonna talk to you about. But like I go in there and ask questions. But sometimes I will ask some questions just because if I'm like if I'm drawing a blank, I can go to a question like all right and get me back on track. So like, but I don't like to say questions. Like I may have questions. Like having questions is cool to get back on track, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I also hate when people who make you fill up a form, like when they ask you, "Hey, you wanna be on my show?" Yes, and then they send you a link for a form to fill up, and then the
Yeah,
form would have, "What do you wanna talk about?" I'm like, "You're the one who wanted me on your show. Why
yeah,
the fuck are you asking me what you want to talk about?" I'm like,
yeah.
"That's like
Did you not do your
that's
research?
that's your job as a
Yeah,
host. I'm coming
yeah,
as a guest, ready for whatever you have for me. Don't ask me that shit. I hate when people have that. What do you want to talk about? Or do you have questions? What questions do you want me to ask? Or what topics do you want to talk about? I'm like, you should have known that because you sent me the link. You should have done your research. There's a reason why you want me on your podcast. It would be
mhm,
different if I'm the one who came and be like, hey, I want to be on your show.
yeah,
Then okay, but if you're asking me like, I always put whatever the fuck you wanna talk about.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
uh,
and I feel that like so. I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't even ask people my podcast. I'm like, look, we don't talk about religion. We don't talk about politics. We stay away from those things. Like religion, if it has something to do with your faith and being personable, I'm fine with that. But like, if you're trying to convert people and stuff like that, like we don't want to do that. But if we're talking about whether it be Christianity, Muslim, Buddhist, like if there's things that like are personal to you, if you're talking about your story, fine. But like,
yeah, like
we're
how
just
you
not having a
came
religious
into
talk.
you finding your fate or whatever.
Yeah,
That yes, cause But if you're coming, just like how when I was saying about the the show I do with the boys every Friday night. For like last year during the oh my god, the presidential run, I wasn't going on the show because they were discussing the political stuff, like, because it was a lot. And they're Americans, they like discussing politics. They also have a specific show for politics. They also have a specific show for sports. So I would miss the first hour because I don't want to talk politics and I don't want to start shouting and getting mad about your opinion when,
Yeah.
you know. So I just avoided it, and then I would go to because we do that for 1 hour, and then the next hour we do it, ash it out, like everybody shares what's on their chest, we discuss it, and we move on. So I had to turn that one. And they'd be like, Paula, you okay? And no, but they knew and they respected it. I was like, I don't like discussing politics because everybody has their own reasons. I really don't care. I don't want to know. And it was a lot going on during last
Yeah.
year's president. Like, no, I don't
Yeah.
want to involve myself because this shit is going to be out there. Nope, I'm not being part of this.
I feel that. I mean, I talk about it, but I don't like to talk about it on thing. But I talk to certain people where I can have a cool conversation with.
There's a specific, because I'm an
Yeah.
immigrant. If we want to discuss about immigration, yeah, sure, and depending how deep we're going. But like, I don't want to, like, every week, like, listen, no. But,
Yeah.
so 100 episodes, that's like 100 stories, 100 conversations with different people coming to your show. I know this might be a little bit tough because as I said, 100 people. But which guest story resonated with you the most, and in what way did it influence your perspective? Because I feel like us being podcasters having these conversations, that's the reason, right? Either it shifts our mind or it changes our perspective, or sometimes even if it doesn't, like, we don't change our mind, but we still have an idea of why certain things are being, like that mindset shift. So what story would you say was that one? Like, oh my God.
I don't know if it's just one story. There are stories that stick out to me over these last couple of years. Recently they got Doc Johnson. He's a guy that I've met in cigar lounges here in Cleveland / Chattanooga, and hearing the story was cool and had me engaged. A lot of the old guys that smoke cigars that have my podcast, they have cool stories. So I always enjoyed them on there. I will say there was a girl, I can't remember her name. There was two girls. There was one, I think she's in London or she's Irish. I can't remember. She's one of them. Where her and her friend was going home on holiday. They got struck by a bus. Her friend passed away. She did it. Her conversation was cool. Just because I enjoy like some of the music and I was able to name some of the famous people over there. She's like, yeah, I've heard of them and stuff like that. And it was cool. And her story, there was a girl that, was in a skiing accident. She got hit, like, I can't remember exactly what happened. But I did, she was actually the person I did the most research on. So she did she's in a wheelchair, she fenced in a wheelchair. She does a lot of things. Like now she's married, she has a kid. So there's like people, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question right. I think there are
It
like,
does. Because the story of the girl who has a family kind of gives you perspective, because people think when somebody's on a wheelchair or being disabled, there's certain things like getting married, having kids, finding love, all that is. So it kind of shows, like, you're still a young, like, it is possible. And strictly, like, I'm not disabled, but I'm still having a hard time finding love, being married, or having a kid. So yeah, you are answering the question. I love that.
yeah, because I would say there's times where I have people, disability people on. And there's been times where I've had people on there that I knew and grew up with that went to camp. And recently I had a guy on the show who was talking about friends. He's has muscular dystrophy too, and have friends pass away. And I was like, I related to that much when I was younger because I was around a lot of people more with disabilities, muscular dystrophy diseases when I was younger, going to camp and stuff. And you would go to camp, and then the next year, one of your friends, you know, passed away, and you come back and you hear about their untimely death, and it was sad. And it's funny, like you get used to these things, and it's just like you become very numb to it, and it's you. So being younger, I didn't react to a lot of things because I in my mind it was like, this is just how it is. So if this is how it is, why would I react to everything? I have to become numb to it. The problem is that it kind of messes you up in your adult life.
It does.
So like when things happen now, I have to like process it and kind of react to it, whether I'm happy, sad, or whatever. So like I can't just say, well, this is life and get over it. Like I have to like process it.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I think I became numb to death as well because a lot of people around me were dying. And
Mm-hmm.
then you grow up and you realize being numb is just holding those emotions inside, and sometimes they backfire at the wrong time. So you kind of have to force yourself to deal with it
Mm-hmm.
and just find a way to process it. That way it doesn't backfire on you at the wrong time or wrong place
For
with the
sure.
wrong people.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I've seen that because this year at Podfest for some reason, and sometimes I feel like me creating a safe space is a blessing in a curse, because this year at Podfest people would see me and they would just break down because they were holding so much shit because people
Mm-hmm.
around them wasn't giving them the space, so they just didn't feel like they could open up. And then they were seeing me, a person who is just always, and then they just start, and I'm like, no, because I literally carry people's emotions. I feel
Yeah.
them. So when somebody starts crying, I start crying. And then I start
Mm-hmm.
being, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is not what I want. But also I'm like, I'm glad they feel safe enough to
Yeah.
just cry to me and vent or whatever it is. But I left Podfest exhausted. I was like, fuck, I hate being a safe space, because damn, that was a lot. Like people were just dropping bombs on me, and I'm like, why? But then
Yeah.
again, it's a curse and a blessing. So we talked about the guests. Now let's talk about the listeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all love listeners' interaction. Sometimes we don't get them as much, but we appreciate them. Listeners, we
Mm-hmm.
appreciate when you send us a message and saying you
For
enjoyed
sure.
our episode, or you leave a review. Like, we love those things, because podcasting is one of those industries where you really don't get your flowers. Like, you
Yeah.
don't know if it's impacting somebody, if it's affecting somebody, if somebody are getting some. So we always love that. So has there been any listener interactions or feedback that really affected the direction of your podcast or content? Even if it's trolls, we also love trolls. At least you're paying attention.
Um, I don't think I got any trolls yet, so I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Because
That's a good thing. Nobody wants trolls.
yeah, well, here's the thing. Yeah, I say that because of, yeah, unless they're not paying attention to my podcast, that's what
You
that's why.
know, they say if you don't have a hater, you're not doing shit right.
Yeah, that's yeah. So, people, especially around here, or somebody. It's always cool because I'm from Edgewood, Maryland, so it's always good when I hear somebody from back home like, "Oh, I've been listening to podcasts, man. It's cool," or "Keep up the good work." And especially when I think that I am doing a poor job because we judge ourselves harder than other people judge each other.
Oh
So
yeah.
those times where I'm probably being hard on myself, and even hear it like, "Oh man, hey, I checked out your podcast. It's pretty cool. Keep doing it." You know what I'm saying? Like those. That's the encouragement that I like. I've had people listen to my podcast since the first episode. I don't think my following was that big, but I have a cool following that's been following me for since the beginning. Or in the street, they see me, they're like, "Man, I've been, somebody I see them every once in a while. But you remember that time you showed me your podcast? I've been listening to podcasts. Fire, man. Keep doing it." Or I like when you talk to this person. I listen to this episode. I love this conversation. I can relate to it. Like I love those things where people can relate to your conversations.
I love that. And that's so true, because I remember one time I literally was almost like, I took a break and I was feeling a hard time coming back to podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a DM. Actually, somebody left a review all the way from Australia. I don't know how they came across my podcast, but the
Yeah.
fact they listened to an episode and then went and left a review. People, this is what we want. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the review said, came across this episode and me and my husband were literally talking about that thing and listening to this, ended up continuing the conversation we had started. Thank you. Something like that. And that made me like, shit, I need to go back and start recording, because it was
Yeah.
like, there are people out there who want this. And literally 2 days ago, I was on the phone with my friend's husband, and because I was sick and he was checking on me. So when I was finally better, I was like, let me give him a call and just be grateful for him checking up on me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he said was like, Paula, I want to apologize to you. I was like, why? He was like, I used to hear podcast and your shit, but I never really paid attention. It was like a few days ago, I really went and dived deep into your shit. And
Mm-hmm.
I am so proud of you. You're doing amazing things. And it's like, people don't get it until they get it. And then when they get it, when they
Yeah.
tell you, it's like, it's a relief. Like, you feel like you are being seen. Like, okay, what I'm doing matters. Like, cause it is a lonely journey.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I never get mad at people say, "Well, I'm not a podcaster," or they don't really listen to it, because I know one day you listen to it, you may not stop listening to it ever. It may be your
Exactly.
jam, and you just like once you do it, and that's a
Know
fact
what
too.
they
Like
don't
that's
understand until
yeah,
they know. And I think
yeah,
that's why as podcasters we like going to these conferences, because we are around our
mm-hmm.
people who actually we feel seen, right? I remember
Mm-hmm.
one time I was at Podfest and I went to this guy's booth, Mark. He has a music production. He even did the jingle for TalkShitWithP. But I met
Okay,
him in 2022, and when I walked into his booth, he looked at my tag and was like, "You talk shit with me? I've been waiting to meet you. I've been hearing
nah,
about you." And I was
yeah,
like, "Oh damn!" Like it's like you have a booth, you are sponsor here, and you know about talk shit with me, like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
my family and friends don't even bother. Like,
yeah,
so so that
yeah,
shit is however much, and that's why even you I tell people you don't have to have a big following, cause as long as you have the right following, like, those
mm-hmm.
people really appreciate you. That's why, like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck the follower. And I tell people, even if you have an episode with 2 listeners, 2 downloads, like, those are 2 people who took their
Mm-hmm.
time for 1 hour, 2 hours to listen to you. That is
Yeah,
something.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
I
So,
mean, even that puts things in perspective. Like even two people, like there's two people that want to hear what you got to say, that
exactly.
value you, and you think about it,
Exactly.
like some of us don't even have that in life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So we kind of talked about the podcasting journey, and I know it is your 100 episode, but I also want people to get a feel of who you really are. So we are gonna go to the rapid fire round. Since we
Okay.
I can't believe it has already been 40 minutes. Like I'm having too much fun. Like where did the fucking time
Hey,
go?
it's good. Take your time. You good. I'm here.
So rapid round. Favorite food. Favorite comfort food. Comfort food.
Pancakes.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go to relaxation activity.
Playing 2K or smoking a cigar.
I was
If I'm
about
at
to say,
home, I
it's
can't
gonna
smoke a
say,
cigar. Yeah, playing 2K or going. If I'm out, I can go smoke a cigar.
alright. Wait, you can smoke a cigar at home?
No, I don't. In my apartments. There's a strict policy of smoking in your apartments, which
Damn.
I can get down with, because
And
yeah.
I kind of appreciate it. It makes you go out because sometimes, we get into. I haven't left my. I was telling somebody today. I actually haven't left
Mm.
my apartment since I came back from Portfest. But the first
Oh
three
wow.
weeks I was also sick. But also
Yeah.
sometimes you get comfortable, or especially when either you're dealing with depression or anxiety and you really
Mm.
don't want to be outside even though fresh air is important or whatever, so you not having to be able to smoke in your house kind of gives you like, oh man, I'm craving a cigar, so you gotta go out
Yeah.
and smoke.
Yeah, for sure. So I do that, and it's just my life. I think my body has made it where it wants me to go outside every day, Because if I don't get any fresh air, like my body don't know what to do. When it's like 8, 9 o'clock at nighttime, it's like, bro, what you doing? We ain't got no fresh air yet. Let's go outside.
Fresh air is important. I
Mm.
have a balcony, so I've been outside to my balcony every morning, afternoon, evening. I go to my balcony, and that's how I test the weather. Like, should I go
Yeah,
outside? No, fuck, it's so cold.
yeah.
But today is very nice. I've been wanting to get a haircut for the first time. I'm like, I don't want to go outside.
It's nice outside. I'm about to get ready to go out there too.
It
So
is. I feel like I might end up going, but I'm also like, I kind of don't want to, but we'll see.
yeah.
So, book, song, show that inspires you. Is there a book that ever inspired you? A song, a
Book.
show?
Wow. So a song I'm gonna go with. There's a old Kendrick Lamar song. I just want to be heard. Want to be heard. That's always been inspiring to me. It's just it's talking about making it and being heard. Like, but I always equate that to like everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to have a voice, and it you matter. You know what I'm saying? Like my voice matters. Like I talked about like not listening to my voice when I'm editing, but I still want a voice. you know. Book, I don't know. So it's funny. I'm a zombie. I like my zombie book. So I'm very into the zombie genre. So
Interesting.
I don't know if I have a book in all the books that I've listened to. I don't know if I have a book that inspires me. To Kill a Mockingbird, I'd say that. It may not be, but I'm just say that. I feel like I'm cultured when I say
Ah! Now, trolls, here's your chance to go troll.
Yeah, right.
All right, and show?
Huh?
Do you watch shows or movie? A show or movie?
Dan in Real Life. I will say that. Dan in Real Life is probably one of my favorite movies I watch, and I just think like he's a person that like with his family, his kids, they beat him down. They don't really value him, but he keeps going, and end up finding, I guess, like the love of his life. That was on a date with his brother, but it always comes back to like a happy ending. Like keep doing what you're doing, and I understand happy endings don't always happen, but like we have to believe that though, right?
We do. And even the thuggest nigga will tell you I want a happy ending. There's nobody who doesn't want. We might pretend we don't want
Yeah,
a happy ending just to
yeah,
save
for sure.
face, but we all fucking want, and we all deserve a fucking happy ending.
Yeah,
Now,
sure.
because you only read zombie books. I'm
So
do
I
a
don't.
shameless plug. Go get yourself, voice your vibe. I am in this book, and Neil, who we lost, is also in this book. It's different people's stories about the power of authentic connections. So go get that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna need you to send me that link so I can post that link too. Cause I go support and get it for you. Support you and get it and things like that. So
And because you didn't come to Podfest, because we brought them to Podfest, because it came out in December, so I did my first book signing at Podfest. This year was a lot of new things. I did my first 3-minute stand-up comedy at Podfest. I did my final stage speaking. I did a book signing, and I became a governor. Like, a lot happened at Podfest.
for sure, that's what's up, man. I'm happy. I'm happy about that.
All
You're doing
right.
big things, and I always see. It is funny because I always see you. Like I see, like around Podfest, I see pictures, and I always see, like even I don't really follow people like, but the pictures I see you in, and I'm like, I don't really know them people, but I know her. So
People tell me at Podfest, they're like, at Podfest, if you haven't taken a picture with Paula, because it's FOMO, seeing pictures without Paula. And this year I didn't even take as much, or I wasn't posting as much because I was constantly like, but it was also too much. But back to our rapid question. sound or noise that instantly makes you happy?
That is a hard question because I feel like I should know this, or it's like a.
It could be the microwave when time is up. Ting! What is ready? It could
Yeah.
be. It could be.
Yeah. I know this.
It could be the moon when the girl is climaxing. I mean, I don't know.
That's always a good thing. That's always a good thing.
It could be the engine when the flight is about to take off, like finally a holiday. That could work both ways. Because I wouldn't like the engine going up if I'm going back home, but if I'm going on vacation, yes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, because I can say my water boiling for my coffee, or I don't know. I just I think it's
smell of coffee
probably,
in the morning.
Yeah, it's probably like a subconscious thing where it's like I hear it and it's just a noise that like makes you feel good, but I don't get it. It's like a hypnosis thing where it makes you feel happy, but I don't get it. And I'm sure that there's something like that, but like
mine, it's very weird.
But I love coffee, so like the water, the smoke, the steam coming off the pot, because I do a French press in the morning. So like I boil it on the stove and pour it in there. So like that's always a good thing.
You wanna know mine?
I don't know exactly.
You wanna know mine? You wanna know mine?
That's a weird question. Not a weird question, but that is a great question that I'm gonna like. Now I'm gonna text you one day, like, you know what? I finally found it.
You wanna know what mine is?
What's that?
I'm such a big Lil Wayne fan. So anytime I hear the lighter flick, Lil Wayne sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just like, did somebody nigga Wayne?
Yeah. I sent a short. I sent a short with him earlier today. One of his songs. I can't remember what it's called, but I was like, Lil Wayne is one of the greatest lyricists, I think, of all time. So it's like, it's weird because
that's why I hate when people don't bring him up in the GOAT conversation. Like, Lil Wayne gave us hits after hits after hits after hits. And if you actually sit and listen to how he lyrics and how that nigga was, I mean, you can hate his political views or whatever, because we black people, we like to roll with this. Or he doesn't assist black niggas. Like, we both know half of y'all in the comments don't do shit for black people either, but because you're not famous and nobody follows your shit, you feel like every celebrity should be feeling how you're feeling. My nigga, like, I don't want to support half of the black people, no offense, but because we really don't have that sticking together support. It's just me now and then once I'm there, fuck y'all. Like, no.
Well, yeah, you get too big for your britches and think you all that and forgot where you came from.
All right, back to rapid question, but I can't wait for you one day to get that text message of that. And I actually believe I will, because I didn't think you remember about this 100 episode and I got it. So anytime now I'm like, look, it's going to remember. Most unexpected place you have listened and recorded an episode.
See, this is where I'm boring, because I actually want to record at a bar. That's why I really want to record at a bar. So that
haven't you recorded in a cigar joint?
I've recorded in a cigar lounge before, yeah.
Exactly. So what's the difference between a cigar lounge and a bar? Okay, maybe a bar is a little bit more louder, or are they the same loud?
True, yeah, it could be a little louder, but like around this time, if you have people, there are times people come in and do work and smoke a cigar and do work. So in the back, and my cigar lounge in the back, so I can go back there, bring my laptop and my mic, and I can interview people and smoke a cigar. So that's probably the most interesting place I've did a podcast is at the cigar lounge. I like to do a bar. Like I would like to go to like a little. We got this thing called Mash House. We get outside and drink beer.
And you can, and you know, bar likes that, and they can even sponsor you because you're giving them you're literally shining them because you're at the bar. You're gonna say we're at this bar chilling, you know. So don't stop yourself. And I always tell, shoot your shot. Like ask, well, what do you got to lose? If it's a no, it's a no. You know, even if you don't get a free beer, you can still record. They're not gonna stop you to record. But you never know, they might give you a free beer just because, you know.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it is. Sky's the limit, right? Like anything can happen. You just gotta act sometimes.
All right, dream guest. What is the dream guest for Then Wait podcast?
My dream guest is probably somebody. You know, let me see. This is the one I gotta think about too. I know it's rapid. I gotta like to say what I say. I guess like I guess dream guest is somebody has a not necessarily like famous, but kind of mid-famous, and we could talk. And I'm a big fan of stories, so like the less I have to talk, the better.
So give us a name. You read zombies books. What?
Oh, you want a name? So a dream guest. Okay, my bad. I interpreted that wrong. So yeah.
Like mine would be Rihanna, Kiki Palmer, Issa Rae. Those are my 3 dream guests. Give me Rihanna. Even Snoop. I will smoke weed and just talk shit to Snoop. Uncle Snoop, nephew, bring it, like, you know.
Yeah. So okay. Now my next question is: could it be could it be dead or like hypothetically? Could it be dead or alive? Like if I could.
We're not dealing with dead bodies. They're gone.
Okay. Okay. Because I've always had one on. You know.
Okay. Who's the dead one? But you still have to tell us the alive one. So who's your dead one?
I always wanted to talk to Mac Miller. That's what I want to talk to. Because and the reason why, because when I was like trying to learn how to make beats and stuff like that, I would listen to some of his videos, and I thought it was cool, and I was talking.
Do you know it was a white boy, but very cultured. Like I love the white boy.
Yeah, he was cool. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
for me, that would be Avicii. I would have wanted Avicii on my podcast.
Oh yeah, okay, that's another good one too. Yeah. So I would like to. Okay, give me a second. This is
you shooting your shots. Imagine they might come across this episode. Somebody who knows them might hear this and send it to them. So this is like you shooting your shot.
I got to be mindful of that. That's why I'm like, how do I I don't know. That's a cop out. I'm not gonna say Obama, but that's a cop out.
You never know.
I'm gonna say Obama, but I'm gonna say like
it's not a cop out. You want Obama. I want Nico Moon, country music. Nico Moon or Shabozi as well. Oh my God, I have too many dream guests.
That's funny. I think I think that I'm gonna say Obama. But I may, if we're talking, I may interrupt you. Like, I got another one.
Go ahead.
But no, I think I'm gonna say Obama right now.
All right. So my next question was gonna be, and since you brought it up in the beginning of the show that you normally don't drink when you do your podcast, so it's funny that I have this on my rapid fire round. What's your favorite podcast fuel? Coffee, tea, water, alcohol? And since you can't do cigars in your house, and you normally don't drink. So what's your fuel? Just water?
Coffee. If I'm at home, coffee. Now, if I'm at the cigar lounge, I actually sometimes may have a cup of a bourbon or whiskey. If I'm at the cigar lounge and I'm smoking a cigar, you just may not see me drinking on the camera. But
these are mine. These are always mine between Red Bull and Budweiser.
yeah, for sure. but I can never go wrong with coffee. Like now, if I'm doing a web an episode and I'm not feeling really well, I'll do peppermint tea with honey.
Okay, I'm a tea girl. I love tea, and it's nothing to do with the British thing. I just love tea over coffee.
Tea and biscuits and tea.
And it's funny, when I lived in UK, I hated tea, and now I love tea. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
I didn't eat shepherd pie when I was in UK. Now I can't stop eating shepherd pie. All right. So piece of podcasting advice you would ignore.
That I would ignore?
Yeah, because there are too many gurus out there. There are too many podcasting gurus with advices out there.
So what I ignore or I don't pay attention to are, and we touch on this, like, because I'm okay with having 2 followers, 2 listeners. So, like, I may look at how many times people listen to it or likes and things like that. Like, likes and all those things follow on social media, the listens to sometimes, they don't accurately represent the value that you bring to somebody's life. So, like, while I would love to have 40,000 people be listening to my clip or my podcast, I'm okay with 50 to 100 people listening to my podcast, or 20 people or 10 listening to an episode. And I'm just go low, 10, 5. I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, like, while I don't bring religion in, I have faith in God, and I believe that God is bringing the people that need to listen to my podcast, listen to my podcast.
100%.
So to be...
I can't wait for that day I get that plaque of 1,000 downloads. I'm like, yeah, we made it. But also, like, I'm a person who doesn't pay attention to downloads or look at it. Like, yes, I get excited. I definitely got excited when I made it to 10K and I'm close now to 25K. It's an exciting milestone, but it's not like, oh, I'm doing this because that's the number I want. Otherwise, it wouldn't have taken me 4 years. I would have done everything I could to get those numbers in like 1-2 years. But I'm just enjoying the journey, and I get excited when my new episode goes out, and in the first hour or two people listen. I'm like, that's 2 people when the episode just came out. Like, I am happy with that. Whether it goes up or not, I'm like, there was at least 2 people already who listened to it. Okay, so I'm okay with that, and I'm there with you. And speaking of that, what is one thing people assume about you as a podcaster that isn't true? Because, there's that thing a lot of people assume every podcaster makes money, or you should already be making money, otherwise why are you doing it? So for you, what is one thing that people assume about you as a podcaster that isn't true?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. I feel like, I feel like that I have more followers than what I do because I feel like that because I am pretty much the same person on and off the camera. So, I talk more on the camera
than in person.
For the most part, yeah.
I feel like you have enough followers. People are recognizing you on the streets. Like, there are people who have so many followers or whatever, but they're not getting recognized on the street. There's levels, and that's why I say it's some people. I don't pay attention to people's numbers because some people buy followers. Some people, and you can tell when you go to a post, like, how do you have all these followers and not even one comment or only 5, 6 likes? Like, make it make sense. So I'm more of like, I want engagement. I don't care about follower count. But then it's also like people have all those numbers, but nobody knows them outside, or nobody likes them.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, I'd rather be authentic in what I do than to buy followers or buy likes or buy listens, like, because at the end of the day, that's still fake, and you buying those things, who did it really impact?
Yeah, because
I'd rather have an impact.
And they're really bots, so they're not going to go listen to your podcast or do anything.
They are bots. Yeah, like, so it may look good on the surface, but you're not making an impact, then why are we doing podcasting and why are we doing anything like this if we're not making an impact? You know, we do this to make an impact. Like I don't really get too much money from this, so not enough money to really pay my bills. So it's like I'm doing this because I love it and I want to make an impact in people's lives in my community.
And I don't want when the brand comes looking for me and they see it because of those numbers, but I can't convert those numbers to buyers. What's the point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know. All right. So the last question of my rapid fire round. We have discussed about places to record, right? So if you could record live, not this pre-recorded or anything, a live episode, where's your dream location to record a live episode?
Oh man. So like I would like to put on like an event for a cause and have like a little festival, like maybe downtown Cleveland or something like that, and like record and have different people come up and interview them. Like we're I don't know. I would like to either work with somebody or be in public in a live thing where I'm just like in my community and I'm sharing the spotlight with my community and how great it is. Because I'm a big community person, so like where I live is important to me. Like I want it to be great, so
I love
want to spotlight my community. So like anything that my community's doing, they're like, hey, we want you to do be live on your podcast. We may have like different people come on. You interview 5 minutes or whatever. Have 5-minute segments with different people in the community, business people, whatever. Like that, I would do that in a heartbeat.
You see, I like getting very creative. I think we should do a then wait festival, and you know, I'm all into events, and I think I already have a number one sponsor. Shout out to Mopad. You know, we can be calling them out and shooting my shot at the center. I feel like we should create this community disability awareness thing, you know. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there, you know.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, when my I have a lot of ideas, but sometimes I get discouraged because of my lack of creativity in doing things.
Lean to your community. We are here. I am your creative person. Lean to me. I will work the logistics and be like, so this is what we're doing. Let's motherfucking do it. I feel like you have such a good idea and you should do it. And it doesn't, and you know, people assume when you have to plan this thing, like it has to be a whole day or you have to go all out. No, it can be very simple for the first one. Like, you know, it can be like a quarterly thing where it's a few hours in a nice park, you know, very simple, where there's not much spending and where it can be free and we just look for sponsors for little things, or people bring, you know, other podcasters or the community people who are in the artistic space. They come and put their shit and sell for, you know, audience, and we interview them. Like, you see how quick that shit just came up together? Like
well, all right, Paula. So I will move forward with this, but you're gonna have to be you have to be my right hand. You can be my right hand if we do something like this.
Listen, I'm telling you, I am ready. Let's talk. Like you, haven't you seen what I just came up with in like 2 seconds?
for sure. So we could do things bothly, and we could do stuff in Cleveland, Chattanooga
I
area.
will fly down for this shit.
We come down to Atlanta, and we do some stuff in Atlanta. Cause you're in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It can start small and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you know, for the first time, people give so much lineage for the first time. And even if you do events, even if you do them for 10 years, things will always go wrong. Shit will happen. But, you know, there's nothing bad about starting small, and when it's about community and you actually put it out there to the community, you see how the community will also ride too, because it's exposure for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Happen.
I'm with that. I mean, So I'm with that. We could do something because I think that'd be cool. Set up a little team or something like that. So.
And it's funny because one of my closing questions was, are there any new project topics you're excited to explore in your upcoming 100 episodes to come? Because now we are going for 200, right? And look at that, we already have one event. So what's next for Then Wait?
What's next for Then Wait? Yeah, so I will say, I mean, we're talking about this. Obviously, it's a obvious question, but build a community. And I don't know if it necessarily has to do. I don't know if it necessarily has to still be about disability, but my whole thing is, I just want people to know that they matter in this life. Like we go through so much hard things in life, and sometimes people go through life alone, and I don't want people to go through life alone. You matter in this world. You matter in this life. Like I don't want anybody to die thinking that they didn't matter. You know, in this world, in this life, like I'm on TikTok and I'm seeing people. I'm literally seeing somebody in a sermon say that empathy is not of God. You know what I'm saying, and things like that, and just like, what? Like, it's not of God to care for somebody, to care for your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, I want people to know that they matter. And if I'm the bad guy for wanting to care for other people, then so be it. I'll be a bad guy.
We'll be bad guys together, because it is such a lonely world, and right now the way the world is moving, like it's something new every day. It's scary, and hearing people's stands on certain things. Like I said, I remember I wrote a post on Facebook. I was like, I don't care who you voted for or what your reasons were. But right now with what's happening, and you're reading some of these posts, and these are some people you really thought highly about. You're like, and it's human things. Like this has nothing to do with politics or anything. It's the humankind, where you are literally okay with what shit is happening to human beings. That's where I'm judging you from. I don't care if you voted for this orange man. Like everybody has the right to vote for whoever they want to vote, to have whatever reasons. But it's like, I'm like, the world is really in a divided space, and the more we keep going, we are gonna keep feeling lonely, because now you're discovering the people you actually thought were, So I like that you are holding space to remind people that they matter and they are cared for, and this is a space for, it's important right now. Well, it's
It
always
definitely is.
important, but right now we need it.
Yeah, we do. So, I want to be that person. One of the people that make sure people know that they matter. So,
All right.
we
So
have a space.
as we come to an end, the best thing about podcasting is it has been the growth. Well, for me, and I know I've had these conversations with different podcasters, and you really grow when you are hosting a podcast. Like there's different levels of growth. So in what ways has hosting Then What influenced your personal growth and outlook in life?
Just listening. On my podcast, I'm listening. I'm listening to respond, or listening to. I have to listen to. But I'm not listening to argue. I'm not listening to debate. I'm listening to respond, to keep that conversation, to pull out valuable information. Because like me and you can have this conversation off the camera, but like you're trying to get things, you're trying to get valuable information to listeners that can help them out, and they can relate to. And I'm trying to answer questions so they can relate to things like that. So it's like, so my biggest thing is just listening and trying to be intentional on how I respond to somebody. So even outside of this, like if I'm at the cigar lounge, I'm listening to somebody talking, I met them for the first time. I'm being intentional of knowing who this person is. It is like, are you BSing me right now, or like if this is really you? So because you can figure out who that person is sometimes. So, but I would just say listening, because you can figure out a lot about somebody by just listening to them. It's like even now, like when you talk, like you're listening to me now, and I want to keep talking because you wasn't saying anything. I still want to keep talking.
And it took me a long time. Like I'm still learning to listen, because I have this thing. That's why sometimes I'm learning these days also to mute. That way I don't talk, because I have this thing of cutting off when somebody says something that I can relate, and I go to there. So I'm learning to hold back and just listen. But I think for me also it has been to really understanding. I was never really an understanding person until you start listening to people's stories and journeys, and you're like, and now I kind of understand the person you are, because, you know, so these days I've become very understanding, where sometimes even when my friends just want to vent and I'm here like, but you know it couldn't, they're like, okay, we get it. You're very understanding these days, but can I just have a moment? I'm like, my bad, I'm sorry. But I've become very understanding, where, because in my head, I'm like, even when I do something, I want the person to at least try to be in my shoes before they just go fuck that bitch, you know? So I try to be there like, yo, what if they're coming from this way than this way? And some of my friends even call me, they're like, you're one of those friends who literally looks on the other side, so I'm calling you to see, was I wrong? I'm like, no, you're not wrong, but did you also look at their side? Like, they're coming from this way, so none of you are wrong. It's just that everybody's looking at, you know, and sometimes it takes that, so.
But it's perspective.
Yeah.
Like two things could be right.
Yep. Like, what your feelings are valid, but, and that's the thing, because most of us don't really want to look at that. We don't get that, but and it's a process. So I'm grateful for podcasting for that. But one last thing, you said your dream guest would have been Obama. So I'm curious, if Obama came in on your show, shout out to Obama. You're the only president I recognize. This is us shooting our shot. Please. Sure, we would, Lucas would like to sit down with you on the Day Wait episode. Now, Lucas, if you had it, if Obama was like, okay, I'm coming, what are we discussing? What would you like to discuss with Obama? Just in case you know Obama out there.
I don't know if I want to discuss policy or even really get into, like, the presidential side of it, because I think there was more to him than that, and there's more to him. So any president, I feel like, is more to them than the president. But like and the reason why I say Obama, because I feel like he was very charismatic, and that's something I strive to be. I would love to be charismatic and things like that. It was just he's smooth. Like,
he really is. Like when I just see a video of him, I just smile. Like,
you can't help it. Like, you can't help it. Like, and so, like, the fact is, like, if you don't, and I'm not going to get into politics and stuff, but like, if you don't agree with his policies, like, I feel like, even like, how can you, if you got a chance to talk to this guy, like, would you pass that up, even if you don't agree with his policies? Like, because I think he's a charismatic guy. I think he's, you know, he's cool, like, smooth.
The family man, raising daughters, you know. I feel that too, and especially every time, whenever he shares his quarterly, is it end of year when he shares it? No, quarterly does, summer and winter, I believe, his favorite books and music, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, you listen to this now, you're like his song choices are like, yo, I really want to have a conversation with you. Nothing to do about politics, just like no more day shit. Him being a girl that there was a time his daughter was seen with smoking weed. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, in those conversations, did you ever smoke weed? Like, you know, like, do you still do?
Hey, them lips black. Them lips black. He smoked some weed before. Them lips be black.
And even when I saw the video of him with those basketballers and how that young kid was talking to him, and any normal guy would have kind of flip, but the way he was still smooth was just like, okay, you're disrespecting me right now, but I'm gonna just continue. But it was just like, yo, like he can
Yeah.
just hang. Like I feel like he can hang.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So and that's I think that's one of the reasons why like I look at him. And then but one question I would ask is like how do you deal with the hate that people give you? How do you deal with the people that hate you for policies that talk bad about your family, talk bad about your wife, your
He
kids,
never
like
talks about that. He doesn't go on Twitter and talk shit. Like he like you never hear him. It's like he's like a Mario, you know, unbothered.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But okay, we are we're 20 minutes past, so we're gonna come to an end. But so for your 100 episode, what would you like to leave the listeners with?
Stick with it. Don't give up. I know you may probably be discouraged right now, and whatever you're doing, it could be podcasts, it could be making beats, it could be your job, it could be anything in life that you really want to do. Stick with it. Because not that I feel like I'm an expert in podcasting because I hit my 100th episode, but I'm glad that I'm glad I didn't give up, because if I gave up, I wouldn't have met somebody like you, Paula. Like, there's people that I've met in this journey that are cool, and I don't see you all the time, and we don't interact every day. But like, when we interact on each other posts and stuff like that, it's always love, and that's always going to be like that. So it's like,
and we know we got each other.
yeah. So it's just like, yo, like the world needs your voice. And I lead this. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. She's an actor. I met her at Lee University here at Lee, and she's an actor. One day I was like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and the interviews with some of these cool guests that are like famous now. And we're talking about at the beginning where they were about to quit. And he was like, I was on my way out. I'm quitting. I'm gonna get a regular job or whatever. And before they quit, they got that phone call. They changed their life. So the moral of the story is to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit. Like, the world needs your voice. Like, there's a lot of people that do podcasts, but they don't have your voice. And if you keep at it, something's good is going to come about it.
Always.
So that's
All
it. Don't give
right.
up.
So, I had my shot here waiting, so I'm going to cheers.
Hold on.
Cheers.
I'm going to put a little bit more in my cup, because I didn't finish my cup already. I'm a fast drinker.
I mean, I finished my beer, so.
Yeah.
All right, put your cup up. Let me first take a quick screenshot.
Shout out to
this.
OCL.
Hold on, put it up.
This is my home cigar lounge right here. Corey Cigar Lounge.
So, cheers to 100. It is not easy. I'm glad you kept going even when it felt like you should give up, because we have those days. Your voice matters. Thank you for creating a safe space for us to feel we matter, because we all do, despite our political or religion or whatever the fuck else. So thank you for creating that. And I'm looking forward to the Then Wait Festival, because I'm dead as serious about that. And I just want you to know that it was such an honor to get that message for you asking me to be a part of this. And I am thankful to being here. So to you and your 100 episodes.
Thank you. Woo.
And that's a wrap, y'all. Oh, by the way, as I said again, please go review, leave a review, leave a comment on Spotify. Like, that is one of the bestest way you can support a podcaster.
For
And it's for
sure.
the 100 episodes. Come on, y'all.
For sure. For sure. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, girl.